The crystalline doors of the Galactic Council chamber exploded inward with a thunderous crash that echoed through the vast amphitheater. Ambassador Sarah Chen stepped through the smoking debris, her combat boots crunching on shattered fragments as she surveyed the circular chamber, filled with hundreds of alien delegates. Behind her, a squad of human marines in powered armor took defensive positions, their weapons trained on the shocked assemblage. "Council members," Sarah's voice carried clearly through the sudden silence, amplified by her suit's speakers. "We need to talk." The Zephyrian High Chancellor, a towering crystalline being whose form shifted through prismatic colors, rose from the central dais. "Humans, how dare you violate the sanctity of this chamber? Your species was denied entry to the Galactic Council for good reason." Sarah pulled off her helmet, letting her dark hair fall free as she fixed the Chancellor with a steely gaze. "Because we're too violent. Too unpredictable. Too dangerous." She gestured to the assembled delegates. "Well, congratulations. You were right about the dangerous part." A ripple of unease passed through the chamber. The Vorthan delegation, slug-like beings known for their diplomatic prowess, began secreting stress pheromones. The bird-like Alteran representatives ruffled their iridescent feathers nervously. "You see," Sarah continued, walking toward the center of the chamber, "while you've been sitting here debating trade agreements and territorial disputes for the past 50 standard years, something's been hunting your colonies. 17 worlds have gone dark, millions dead, and you know what you've done about it?" The Andromedan representative, a being of pure energy contained within a humanoid shell, flickered anxiously. "We have investigated nothing." Sarah's voice cracked like a whip. "You've done absolutely nothing because you can't conceive of a threat you can't negotiate with, bribe or reason into submission. But we can." She activated her wrist display, projecting a 3-dimensional image above the chamber's center. The hologram showed a massive serpentine creature with obsidian scales and burning red eyes, a nightmare-given form. "The Devourers," Sarah announced. "Your galaxy's apex predator. They've been dormant in the void between galaxies for millions of years, but something woke them up. They don't want your resources, your territory, or your surrender. They want to consume every living thing they encounter." The chamber erupted in panicked, chittering electronic whines and various alien expressions of distress. The Chancellor's crystalline form pulsed with agitated red light. "Even if this is true," the Chancellor said, "what makes you think your primitive species could succeed where we cannot?" Sarah smiled, and there was something predatory in that expression that made several delegates unconsciously recoil. "Because we're not civilized like you. We never forgot what it means to be apex predators ourselves." A new voice echoed through the chamber, a deep, resonant growl that seemed to come from the very walls. The temperature dropped noticeably as shadows began coalescing in the corners of the room. "Finally," the voice rumbled, "prey that shows its teeth." The largest devourer any of them had ever imagined materialized in the chamber's center, its form shifting between dimensions as reality bent around it. Standing nearly 10 meters tall, its presence radiated an ancient hunger that made every survival instinct in the room scream. While the alien delegates cowered or fled toward the exits, Sarah and her Marines calmly adjusted their weapons. The clicking of charging energy weapons and the hum of activating force fields were the only sounds in the sudden silence. "Ambassador Chen," the Devourer's burning gaze fixed on her, "your species interests us. Such delicious aggression, such beautiful violence. We have consumed 1,000 species, but none have ever stormed our prey's sanctuary to warn them of our coming." Sarah raised her plasma rifle, the weapon's targeting laser painting a red dot on the creature's chest. Maybe that's because the other species were smart enough to run. The Devourer's laugh was like breaking glass. "And yet you remain. Why?" "Because someone has to." Sarah's finger tightened on the trigger. "And because we've been looking for a good fight." The creature tilted its massive head. "Even knowing you cannot win. Especially knowing that." Sarah's grin widened. "See, that's the difference between us and them." She gestured toward the cowering delegates. "They've forgotten that sometimes survival isn't about being the strongest or the smartest. Sometimes it's about being the most stubborn, vicious, and absolutely insane species in the room." The Devourer lunged forward with impossible speed, but Sarah was already moving. The chamber exploded into chaos as plasma fire erupted from human weapons. Energy shields flared to life, and the ancient predator met its match in a species that had clawed its way to the top of their own world's food chain through sheer bloody-minded determination. As the battle raged, the fleeing delegates could hear Sarah's voice over the combat comm system, calm and steady despite the hell breaking loose around her. "Control, this is Chen. We've made contact with the primary threat. Initiating Protocol 7. Send word to Earth. Tell them we found something worth fighting." The human species had indeed stormed the Galactic Council, but more importantly, they had reminded the galaxy what it meant to be apex predators. Not through size or strength, but through the simple, terrifying refusal to back down when extinction came calling. And in the depths of space, humanity's warfleets received their orders and began the long journey toward a battle that would determine whether civilization would survive its encounter with the ultimate predator, or whether the galaxy would learn what happened when humanity decided to make a final stand. The hunt was on,